Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Zambezi Belle podcast. We are going to start by offering a word of prayer. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this amazing day that you gave us. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for giving us good health. Thank you for giving us our faculties. Thank you for providing for us in each and every way. Please forgive us for all our sins. Please help us, Lord, in all that we do. As we have this conversation today, please help us, Lord, to be able to touch the people that you want to be touched by this conversation. Please help us as we diligently work towards growth and healing. Help us in everything that we do. Please touch each and every person's heart and help us, Lord, to live lives that are purposeful and lives that are honoring to you. We thank you, Lord. We love you and we honor you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Well, let's dive right in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Zambezi Belle podcast. Today we have an acclaimed plastic and reconstructive surgeon here with us today, and I am so excited to have her here because I know you ladies were requesting that I bring someone on so we can ask some questions about Botox, fillers, and mommy makeovers, and she is going to tell us all that stuff. But to start with, I just want to welcome our wonderful guest, and I'll have her introduce herself.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Chinwe Kpaduwa. I live in LA and I work around LA doing mostly reconstruction, but I also have a cosmetic arm as well.
Well, that's awesome. So tell us a little about yourself. Where did you grow up and how did you get interested in plastics, and what has your journey been like?
Sure. So I was born in the States, but my family is Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. And so we lived in Kentucky, of all places, and a few years after moving there, moved back to Nigeria to live, and then moved back to the States. So I grew up mainly in Maryland on the East Coast, and was an East Coast girl for a long, long time, and then ended up training here in San Diego and decided to live here. In terms of how I got into plastic surgery, so I knew I wanted to work with children. And that was the initial thought, that I'd be a neonatal surgeon. But I realized somewhere, I think in my first year of med school, that doesn't actually exist in the way that I wanted it to. And so then I was thinking pediatric general surgery. And then that didn't appeal as much to me. And I had a friend from college come into town, and he was applying for plastic surgery. And he is salt of the earth, very religious, very good guy. And we were sitting in my car, and I said, "You're applying to plastic surgery. I thought you were a good guy. Why are you applying to plastic surgery?" And he corrected me. He said, "No, plastic surgery is more than what you think it is. You're seeing only 20% of what people do, but actually it's a lot more." And he was like, "Take a look, check it out, and see if you like it." And I did. I did 2 weeks as a third-year medical student. Loved it. I was still undecided between trauma and plastic surgery. Ultimately, I wanted whatever I did to be translatable to working in Nigeria. I wanted to be able to work with kids and adults as well. And so after doing general surgery, I wanted to kind of get back to where I had been thinking about, during med school. And so that's where we are.
So, wow, that's like, I thought you were a good guy.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, when they think plastic surgery, they just think cosmetics.
Yeah.
And they're not really seeing the reconstructive arm, which is a huge arm, and so much that happens with reconstruction, craniofacial burns and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
wow, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, but it's true. What I've realized, even over my short career, is that, I love both. I really do love both. I love changing lives and transforming lives in the way that I do for both recon patients and cosmetic patients. And it's fun. It's just fun. It also is very fun. So,
What was your experience going to Ivy League universities? How old were you when you moved back to the States?
So I was 4 when we moved back, so I was still very
Okay.
young. Going to Harvard. So what I knew of Harvard is what most Nigerians know of Harvard, right? It's the best. So, so why wouldn't you want to go to Harvard? So that was, I knew nothing. I didn't know where it was. I knew nothing else about it.
You just
but
knew
I
that's
knew,
where you needed to go.
yeah. My mom always said that she was very afraid that my dreams were so big, that if I got disappointed, that I'd be let down. But it worked out well. Harvard was one of 2 schools that I ended up applying to, and I got in. And being there was very eye-opening. I love Harvard.
Yeah.
Harvard, I thought, was this, private white institution filled with rich kids. And so my humble beginnings would be something that I'd have to deal with there. Especially after having grown up and gone to schools that were predominantly white, and my blackness was something, right? It wasn't normal. It was something.
Yeah.
Not always something bad, but it was just something to note. But there, I found a really, really strong Black and people of color community. So interestingly, for years, I had gone by Sonia. I wanted to be an American. My middle name is Sonia, and so my family would call me Chinwe at home, but in the world, I was Sonia. And it was when I got to Harvard that I said, no, I'm going to embrace who I am and who I've been and who I've been raised as, and that is a Nigerian American. And so I then started going back to my first name of Chinwe. So it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And I went for free. So Harvard will always be, for me, best, but for different reasons.
That is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
how did you reconcile being raised? Because you were young when you came back to the States at 4. So being raised in a Nigerian household, but acclimating to the American system outside.
I don't know that I ever got used to it. I think I had a lot of struggles because I couldn't make sense of it,
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
mom
because
and I
sometimes it
butted
feels like
heads
you
a
have
lot.
to
Yeah.
remove your hat, especially with moms. When you get home, before you get into the house, you remove your American hat and you wear for me, my Zimbabwean hat, because this is a Zimbabwean household.
Right. No, it's very true.
And so
though.
when
It's
your
very
friends
true.
are doing all sorts of other things, you can't be like, well, but so and so is doing it. You look at me and say, well, so and so can do it, but are you white? Are you from?
Right.
Are you Black American?
Yeah. No, it's very true. It's very true. Yeah.
That is very.
I don't know that I ever reconciled. I think I still wonder. I still wonder what that means.
Yeah.
And I wonder what it means for my kids as I'm starting to think about kids of my own too, because I think I will raise them a lot with the values that I was taught growing up. But some of that also is shifted by the fact that I am growing up in America. So I don't know. It'll be interesting for sure.
What was your medical school journey like?
I would say it was tough because everything that Harvard was, Georgetown was not. Georgetown's motto is cura personalis, treating the entire person. It's a Catholic Jesuit school. I'm Catholic, so I thought it would be an amazing fit for those reasons, and that it would really ground kind of the schooling part. Because med school is tough, as you know.
Yeah.
And you need something that keeps you grounded in why you're doing this, And so I thought that going to Georgetown would make the most sense in that way. But where I found a lot of diversity of thought and, just general diversity, in Harvard and insights that I had never seen or thought of, and people were challenging me in ways that helped me to grow as a person. I felt like, and I don't want to diss Georgetown because I still got a great medical education, but I do think that amongst my classmates, at least, this is not sounding good. I just felt like there was a little bit of ignorance there and a little bit of shelteredness there. And maybe it's also because I went to school a little bit older. I mean, I took 2 years off, which is not like terribly old.
Yeah, that's not even that much older. Like you were what,
No.
24 when you started med school?
Yeah, 24. So
Yeah,
it's not
'cause
that I was super old.
Yeah, I was 24 going 25 when I started med school, and I felt like I was old.
No, but it's true. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. So in first year we had I think it's a medical literacy or cultural competency class. And it really is about, hey, you are going to be a doctor, but a lot of your patients are going to be people of color who are low income and don't have resources that you have. And you have to make them understand what you're doing. You have a lot of power coming in for different reasons, and they need to be on the journey with you. Otherwise, it does not work, right? So one of the tasks was describing some procedure for a layperson. And when I say that the way that people completed that task was insulting, it was insulting.
Oh.
Yeah, and I did speak up that day and I said, look, these people may not know what we know medically, but they're not stupid.
Right.
And the way that you guys have responded makes them seem like they're barely kindergartners, to be frank, and it's disrespectful. So that's kind of how I felt a lot of the time, at least in didactics.
Yeah.
When we got to the hospital, it was a little bit easier, and you can choose, right, what hospital you go to, whether you go to county or the private institution. And so I went to county a lot of the times, and that was where I experienced people being a little bit more real, a little bit more grounded. But yeah, it was different.
Did you have a lot of people that looked like you in your class? Because I remember my class of 200 had 6 Black people.
So we had a little bit more, but the interesting thing was, I think we were also like 200. But the interesting thing was that there is a program called GEMS, which is a program that helps people of minority get into med school, right? It's people who aspire to get into med school, but their scores were low or their grades were low, and so they didn't get in. And they needed an extra year to kind of help them and boost their transcripts. So a lot of and the great benefit was you know, a lot of you get into Georgetown as long as you meet the certain marks. But the way that it was looked at when we were in school was not necessarily favorable, right? And so it was like, are you one of the GEMS Blacks who's a little bit, maybe like DEI higher kind of, right? Or, doesn't deserve it as much? Or did you make it on your own? And so that was always interesting too. Right? Like, I don't want to dog Georgetown. I actually don't talk much about Georgetown, and this may be why.
No, I get it.
But it was an interesting 4 years, for sure.
How was residency for you?
Oh.
Because, so I talked freely about my residency. I was the only Black person, not just female, but Black person the whole 6 years I was in New York. And I mean, I got great training. And I had allies and sponsors that I could count on one hand, less than one hand. But it was quite different. And honestly, though, a fair assessment would be that it was more sexist than racist for me. I mean, I was the only Black, and so I didn't have anybody to compare notes with, but it was so sexist. And I was the only girl in my class, and we were five residents a year. And there was a time in the whole residency when we were 4 girls in the whole residency with 30 residents, so it's kind of like that.
I don't like talking about residency because it actually makes me cry.
Oh, so you also have PTSD.
I do. I really do. General surgery
But you
was
persevered. But you did it.
right. So was that smart or was that stupidity? We don't know.
No, you followed your dream. That's what you did. You followed your dream and nothing was going to stop you.
I don't know, but I think that needs to be discussed, right?
Yeah.
The way that people enter medicine. So when I was a third-year medical student, and I will never forget, I was on medicine rotation, and someone said to me, "You're too nice to want to go into surgery." Right?
I have been told that a million times. I cannot tell you how many times.
Right. And so you understand it when you're going through residency.
Yes.
Because I think residency is there to kind of beat the niceness out of you. Yes. And to beat the sensitivity out of you. And that I'm still wondering what the true benefit is. Yeah. Because I don't know that's what we need. No. I met a patient 2 days ago for consult. And she came to me and had gone to 3 previous surgeons. And I said, just frankly, like, my impression is that you're doctor shopping and that you're not really ready to pick a surgeon or to pick a time for your procedure. And she said one of the reasons was that bedside manner was an issue with those 3 other surgeons. And that's an issue, right?
That is an issue.
Especially in this day of people doubting medicine and medical doctors and their motivations, doubting the science of medicine, which is crazy to me, right?
Yeah.
But if you're encountering people who are also jerks, then it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you can't get behind what someone wants to do for you.
Yeah. Especially when you have to be at your most vulnerable.
Your absolute worst day in your life, and you meet someone who's trashy to you. It's just not necessary. It's not. And I'm not convinced that everyone comes into surgery being a jerk.
Right.
But I do think that the way residency is built, it creates a bunch of jerks. A bunch of people who don't empathize, who seem to not really care, who seem to be rushing, who seem to have made conclusions without considering you as a patient. It's disheartening. And I don't want to blame race and sex, because I don't want to always pull out the cards of like, it's because I'm different, but I really didn't know what it was, because I really did feel like I was being picked on a lot of times. And singled out a lot of times. It's hard not to
pull the cards, though, when you are a lot of times the only, and your treatment is different.
Yeah.
And yes, for us, especially, I think for me being African, it's one of those things where I grew up in Zimbabwe until I was 14, and then I came here. So the way I see race is very different than someone who grew up here.
Right. Even me, having grown up here, I see it from both sides because I can see both lenses.
Yeah.
But no, it's very interesting.
Yeah. So residency, and then how was fellowship training for you?
So I grouped those together.
Okay.
I mean, I did
Similar
institutions. I did 5 years general surgery. I did 3 years of plastic surgery, and then 1 year of craniofacial. During plastic surgery residency, I got sick, so I ended up being diagnosed with this really bad chronic illness. And so I was out of residency for 4 months.
Oh my.
And then when I came back, I was recovering from surgery. So it was still hard to kind of get back in the groove. And also and it was life and death kind of thing, right? So it's like when you nearly die and you realize that you have spent your life up until now sacrificing yourself for others, right? Or not even for others sometimes, just for the dream.
Yes,
right?
The dream.
But the dream is making sure that I am doing a 28-hour shift and I've only eaten once in that 28 hours. Or
Yep.
the dream is doing a 14-hour case.
Yep.
Where I didn't use the bathroom once. Or, or the dream is rounding on patients at 4 a.m. so I can make sure to be,
ready by 7:30
ready for the OR. What is, in what
that is
world
quite
is that
a dream.
Right. That's not a dream. So I think
when you put it that way, I'm like, damn, what kind of dreams do we have, girl?
And you as a transplant surgeon, you get a call once you're on, right? So you could get a call at 2 a.m. to have to go in for a transplant or to go and harvest.
Yep.
And I know you love your job, but most people would not consider that a dream.
No, they would not.
Right.
Because of that's why it's hard to get people into transplant, even like our residents,
Right.
Because they're like, what kind of lifestyle is this? I want to have a real nice lifestyle. I don't want to be up at 3:00 doing transplant crazy big cases and dealing with people dying and sick and all this. So it's kind of hard to sell that.
It's hard. It's a hard sell, right? And it's hard to. And it was very hard to embrace at that point because it literally was like, I could have died. If I hadn't gotten the surgery, I would have died. And I was not happy. Yeah. Right. And I've been waiting for the day when I'll be happy. But so let me say this also to be fair to my residency, my plastic surgery residency. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of that happening too, that reckoning of like, I'm not about to be anyone's martyr. Yeah. I'm not going to die because someone called me in at 2 a.m. for a facial laceration. Like we're not, not doing that. No more. And so, during that time, I think I struggled a lot because I was dealing with that too. Like I don't want to die. Yeah. I haven't lived, right? So why am I dying at 33? Yes. That doesn't sound fair.
So that to me sounds like you were able to figure out a way to create boundaries, which is hard in training, obviously. But now that you're an attending and time is your own, what do those boundaries look like?
So it's a lot of no. It's a lot of I'm not. I tell residents who call me. I tell med students who come on service. I tell residents who come on. There are not a lot of plastic surgery emergencies, right? Yeah. I became a plastic surgery for a reason. And and one of those reasons was not to be called at 3 a.m. because someone cut their face and the person is demanding they have a plastic surgeon close it. Right. That's not reasonable. It's not an emergency.
That is not an emergency. Get over yourself.
Yeah. So I regularly tell people no. I tell people it does not take a board-certified plastic surgeon to close a lac. Yeah. You can close it, and I can revise it later on. Yeah. So, I've created a lot of boundaries around where I am right now. It's tough, right? Because you're still fighting against people who think that everyone in medicine should be available 24/7. Right. And that's true to an extent, but it's not sustainable.
So how do you find time to take care of yourself? What does your self-care look like?
So I shop a lot. I watch TV a lot.
What are you watching?
Everything trashy that you can think of, I've probably watched it at least once, if not religiously.
Like reality?
Yeah, reality, even non-reality. I've grown up loving television. I still love it. And I just got married in February, so my husband is like,
congratulations.
Thank you. So my husband is like, how are you able to watch TV for so many hours? And I'm like, how are you not? I don't
That is, that's so interesting. I should have a conversation with your husband because my husband can watch TV for hours. And I am still like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do that?
No, it's so easy.
I think for me, maybe because growing up, we only could watch one show a week. Like when I was younger, growing up in Zimbabwe, we could only watch one show a week. And so I chose to watch WWF or WWF or whatever you say it, or WWE, whatever. So that was my one show, and it used to come on like Saturday night. And then when we moved to America, when we moved to America, my shows that I would watch, I only used to watch 2 shows, and it was Days of Our Lives. I would run home to watch Days of Our Lives and Star Trek. And that was really it.
Very
and
different
so
shows.
yeah. And I used to just read all the time. So even now, and if I find a show that I enjoy, I will watch it, but I'll kind of binge it and watch it. Like The Amazing Race, I wait until the whole season is done and then I'll watch it. But other than that, I don't watch much TV. And so I'm always surprised when I hear people saying, yeah, I watch a lot of TV. I'm like, but how? Where do you get the time?
I find it.
You find it.
No, and I love, and then, more normal things. I love working out. I love traveling. Love spending time with my husband. Yeah, all the normal things. Yeah.
All the normal things with TV here and there.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about some procedures that you do, because the ladies are like, wrap it out, woman, get to the questions.
Sure.
So I have a few questions that I got to ask you. So when people are talking about a complete mommy makeover, what does that entail? And when is the best time to do it? Because people are asking, can you do a mommy makeover and then have another baby? Or is it best to wait until you are completely done with childbearing and then do a mommy makeover?
So mommy makeover is typically considered mostly body. It can be anything, though, that makes a mommy feel better, but typically mostly body consideration. So breast and then abdomen. And in terms of what the procedures look like individually, it can be breast reduction, breast lift, breast augmentation. And then for the belly, tummy tuck, mini tummy tuck, variations on the theme, liposuction, 360 lipo. There are a lot of kind of different nuances there depending on the patient. I would say that most people would say, if you're going to have more kids, just wait, because your body, as you know, will change after having children. And so the best time to do it is when you're stable. There are no major life changes planned ahead in terms of kids or weight gain or anything like that. And whatever weight you've lost it all and are ready for treating the skin mostly.
What about in terms of Botox for Black women, for Black skin? So even my daughter, who's 24, was saying, "Oh, Mom, I'm gonna need to start doing Botox soon." I'm like, what for? I'm very, very African mom.
Yes.
I'm like, what for? What do you need Botox for?
Yeah. So I have like kind of like a c'est la vie relationship with Botox. I think when it comes to advising and recommending it, I think there is something to be said about prevention. And so that when people tell me or they laugh at the thought of using Botox for prevention of severe aging, it's actually not laughable, right? Like, we do a lot of things for upkeep to maintain, to prevent illnesses, aging, all that thing. So this is one of those things. In terms of for Black women, Asian women too, I think fall into this category. We don't age significantly. Like, I would never have guessed that you have a 24-year-old daughter. You yourself look 24. So,
well, thank you.
So truthfully, I think, that time to when to begin for Black women can be whenever you want, really. For me personally, I started using Botox maybe like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And when I say using Botox, I mean I'm still using a very, very, very tiny bit. So for instance, 20 units recommended for the forehead. I put in 1.
Oh wow.
And I just put it here.
Yeah.
So because I have one little wrinkle here that I don't want people to see. And I put a little bit here too because I don't like this. So I think people should not be afraid of Botox. But I think that people should be afraid of people who love Botox and who love to give Botox, right? So what I mean to say is that you should find someone who is not only accredited, right, certified to administer Botox, but who also doesn't like really get high off their own supply and doesn't recommend you doing 30 units when they first meet you. That person, that scares me, because a Botox naive patient should not be like diving into the deep end. It really should be a low and slow, maybe we never get to 10 units, kind of thing. Because there are a lot of people out here who want to give frozen looks.
Yes.
And who want to have frozen looks, which is also crazy that you don't want to be able to express yourself. But yeah, so I would find the plastic surgeon or the dermatologist who believes in kind of more natural progression, who believes that not everyone looks the same, and who believes in low and slow.
What about in terms of liposuction? When you do like fat transfers, how does that even work? So, for instance, if for women who, perimenopausal or menopausal women, we tend to collect our fat midsection. And is that even effective in terms of if you have if you've got a tummy and you want to have some of that fat transferred elsewhere, maybe to your butt or to your boobs?
So I think one thing that I'm realizing is that, as we talk about BBLs and other types of fat transfer, people don't understand where their fat is. And when I say that, I mean, there are a lot of women I meet who have a lot of intraperitoneal fat, and that's where they store their fat. And that fat cannot be accessed. So intraperitoneal, for those who don't know, is where your organs are. So where stomach is, intestines, and everything like that. So that's the fat that immediately surrounds that, and that cannot be touched, because if it's touched, that means we're touching organs too. And
we don't want that.
We don't want that. we don't want.
Because then I have to come in at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. That's very dangerous, right? So all of that fat has to really be underneath the skin, and people don't understand that. So the one way that you can tell really easily where your fat is look at your belly, right? If it's really big and round and barrel-like, more than likely you're keeping that fat intraperitoneally, and we cannot do anything to decrease that. That really is weight loss. And truthfully, lipo should never be considered a remedy for weight gain. It is only a remedy for improving contouring of the body. And so I have a lot of people who are very overweight, who are obese, who want lipo, and that's not appropriate. Really lose weight and then use lipo as it's needed for body contouring. But the way that it works is this idea of a graft. A graft is tissue that we're able to move around, and the blood supply that it gets is from wherever we put it, right? So blood vessels have to grow into it. It's tried and true. We've been doing it for decades with skin, more recently with fat. I would say skin grafting we've been doing since like World War II, I believe, if I know my history correctly. Fat grafting has been around for the last 2 decades maybe, and really popular in the last maybe 10 years. So it works really well. I do say that fat grafting is not a one-time thing, meaning that we lose a little bit of the fat that we put in, right? We lose about 1/3 of it. So if there's a particular volume that you're looking to get, it may mean having to go back for more. And people need to be aware of that.
And with that, are you taking the fat that you take out with liposuction? Or
Yes,
is this something that you have to like take chunks off?
No, it's just with lipo.
Okay. So in terms of your diet and exercise, what do you do to stay looking so good?
Let's see. I work out 4 to 5 times a week. So what
do those workouts look like?
Yeah, so that it used to be half and half. So half cardio, half weightlifting. Now because of the chronic illness I have is with my lungs, so I can't do a lot of sustained cardio, unfortunately. So now I do about 10 to 20 minutes of cardio and then 40 minutes of weightlifting, pretty much. And I do that Yeah, during the week. In terms of eating, I still, for the most part, eat what I want. That being said, okay, so let me be all the way real. I love fast
All
food.
the way real.
Yeah.
Like what? In-N-Out?
Yes, I love In-N-Out. I love McDonald's. When I'm out, I like to eat out. But in terms in terms of being at home, I don't buy a lot of junk food. So there isn't a lot of junk food in the house, but I do have a thing where I order out, at least once or twice a week. Right right now, I used to do intermittent fasting religiously. And now I'm kind of like in and out of intermittent fasting, to trying to give my body a little bit of a shock. But yeah, it's mainly that, just not overeating and working out.
And when you do intermittent fasting, what does it look like for you?
So it is a 6-hour window of eating. So I skip breakfast, eat everything between 12 and 6, and then that's 6 p.m. is my last meal for the day.
So in general, you try not to eat late at night.
I try to avoid it very much so. Yeah. I am unhealthy in that I also don't like to eat before work. And I don't like eating during the day if I'm working. If I'm operating, I don't like eating during the day. So that could mean sometimes that I won't eat a meal until like 5 or 6 p.m. So that's not healthy. I don't recommend it, but it does help me keep skinny. Just gonna be real.
Yeah, because really, that was my life as a resident and as a fellow, because I cannot eat breakfast. So by the time I got to eat my first meal, it was usually 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. after a full day in the OR. And so it was like, I'm like, oh, we made OMAD a thing before it was even a thing.
Right. Yes.
That's awesome. So in terms of traveling, you love to travel. What is the one place that you think is the most beautiful place in the world, and one place you would say you could go back to?
So I think Paris for me is my favorite place to go, and default if there's nothing else to do. Italy is also really beautiful. I was in Zanzibar recently. Love Zanzibar. And then, I'm trying to really explore more African countries. Before Zanzibar, I had only been to maybe like 4 or 5 countries in Africa, not including Nigeria. So I'm really trying to kind of expand that and really see more of the continent. But it's truly beautiful everywhere you go. And when you go to Africa, no matter where you are in Africa, it does feel like you're home. So it's amazing that way. So yeah.
I do like that about our continent.
Yeah.
And I'm privileged to be able to go and do mission work in different African countries. And so that's how I get to experience other African countries. Tell us about the work that you do in Nigeria.
Yeah, so when I said that I picked plastic surgery because I wanted to translate in Nigeria, there were things that were very important for me for having a career, being able to work with children and adults at the same time, and being able to work in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
And so the work I do in Nigeria is kind of like the work I do here. So half recon, half cosmetic. I work with some clinics out there to do cleft and craniofacial stuff there. And then I also have a cosmetic practice. I will say that in the last 3 years, I haven't done any of it. And the reason is because of burnout. Burnout is real.
Yeah, it is.
And I was getting burnt out. And
this is my way of reducing burnout. Podcasting.
Yeah. No, it's a really good way. So I haven't done as much, but starting next year, I'm going to kind of go back full force to try and do it. And so the idea is that the best clinics are continuity clinics. And so what I try to do is go more frequently throughout the year, and then have staff that's on the ground and is there all the time so that people don't feel unsupported when I'm not there.
So would this be like your own practice with support staff there that you just come to all the time? Or are you going to hook up with a different practice that you just come and enhance when you come?
So for the recon, it's their practice that I come in and enhance. And then for cosmetic, it's my practice that I have staff for.
Oh, that's awesome. What is it like building a business then?
Hard.
And especially for the one in Nigeria where you're not there constantly.
Yeah, it was that was part of the reason why I took a break as well. It was because I'm not there constantly, because people may not see the vision or have the same vision that I do. It was hard kind of finding good collaborators who were consistent. And so I really didn't want to fall into this model of I go there once every 6 months, I do surgeries, and then I come back. That didn't feel right to me. And so, if we're going to do this, it's going to be that we have a solid foundation there, and trying to every time recreate the wheel and get the foundation and keep it going from LA was tough, was really tough. And so we were trying to get good partners in Nigeria. And I think we've identified partners in Nigeria, but they always haven't really been what we needed at the time. And so we're still working through that.
What does your faith look like? So how has that helped you get through challenges along the way in your life?
Yeah, I think there was a time when God and I were beefing.
Okay. Yeah, we all go through that.
Yeah. And and I didn't always understand. And there's still things that we may not always understand, right? But it's just, for lack of a better phrase, like it's just having the faith, right? That it will get better. As my mom always used to say, "Oh God, dekwama," which is it will be well.
Yeah.
And now I tell my husband, "Oh God, dekwama." So and I would tell my kids that too. So, sometimes it is just the Lord carrying you through. And that's the only thing that's getting you through. And you don't realize it until you're firmly on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with 2 women, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
I knew this question was coming, but I did not prepare.
I always ask this question because I'm always so curious to hear what people have to say about it.
I think the first person that I thought of when it came to my mom, she and I have had at sometimes a really difficult relationship, and I think it would be great to continue to be in conversation about how we make it better. I think the other person, if I'm just being completely shallow, is Beyonce.
And why is that?
Because it just looks like she's living a dream. Like I want a fan when I go to work to be blowing my hair in the breeze, and like that just sounds fun. Like who wouldn't want that? So that's what I would want.
That is awesome. What is your one word for this season in your life?
Me.
Expand, please.
Yeah, as we've discussed, I spent, when you go into medicine, it's a tremendous sacrifice that you make for whatever reason it is, right? Whether it be the stature of being a doctor, whether it be helping others that motivates you, whatever it is, it still requires a lot of sacrifice. And I think also that there have been relationships in my life where I still was kind of trying to do right by the other person and not necessarily looking at what I needed for myself. So now it's about me. It's about me and making sure that whatever I do, whatever I lay my hand into, that it feels good. It's not just a stepping stone for tomorrow that hopefully is good, but that it feels good right now.
I love that. Well, we've come to the end of our talk. I have a lightning round for you.
Sure.
Random questions.
Sure.
Okay. Your skincare routine. Is it 20 steps?
Yeah.
Is it 2 steps? Like
it's
me?
More like it's 10. It's about 10 steps. But the bottom line is you hydrate, moisturize, moisturize, sunscreen. Done.
So what does your nighttime skincare routine look like then if you have like so many steps?
So I do, my husband makes fun of me. So I wash my face twice. One is with an oil-based cleanser, a second with a water-based cleanser. Then after that, I use a hydrating toner. And then I use an essence, which is, again, just more moisturization, more hydration for the skin. Then I use a retinol-based cream. Retinol is great for skin turnover, so it keeps skin quality really, really good. It's great for aging, great for wrinkles, great for acne. It's great for all things. And then an ampule, which is just, again, more moisturization. Eye cream, which right now I'm using a caffeine eye cream. And then nighttime moisturizer.
Yeah, you don't even have any under eyes.
Yeah.
And any bags.
I'm trying to keep them away.
I need to find this caffeine eye cream. Now everybody's going to be seeing my bags now that I've mentioned it.
No.
It's these 3 a.m. calls, y'all.
Well, we'll get you some under eye care for sure. We can have you looking right for your 3 a.m. transplants.
I love it. Are you going to have a skincare line coming out?
No, I think too many people have skincare lines. Skincare lines, hair lines, a hair care. There are just too many lines, and I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't understand them all and how they're different. So no, I won't have one.
No.
I believe in Korean products. And so a lot of my products, if not all of them, are Korean based. They're cheaper than American products, cheaper than European products, and they work really, really well for Black skin. So no, I have no interest right now. Now ask me again in like 5 years, but for now at least, no plans for that.
I'll have you send me the skincare products you use, because people are gonna ask. Because for me, I go to Marshalls or TJ Maxx and I get the knockoff Korean products, and they work perfectly for my skin, especially the snail moisturizer. Yes. So I literally have not been able to find this particular one. And the last time I went to Marshalls, they had 3 boxes. I took them all. So I am stocking up. So you guys, I will have to tell you guys what it is and show it to you so that whenever you see it in a store, just send it my way. And yes, it's like $6.
Yeah, no, it's cheaper. It's really cheaper.
What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Do you believe there is a heaven?
Yes, absolutely.
And last question is, if you could be a fruit, what would you be?
A mango.
Oh, that's my fruit.
Is it? So mango is my favorite fruit. I'm on Coumadin. I'm on warfarin, so I'm on anticoagulation, so I can't have it, which is sad because it's my favorite fruit. I did not know
that you can have mango and anticoagulation.
Yeah, it's the liver. It's the liver.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay. No. I'll eat some for you.
Yes, please. Eat mango, eat ginger. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been so amazing. I appreciate you making the time and taking the time to chat with us and answer some of the questions we had about mommy makeovers and liposuction.
No, thank you very much. This was fun. This was really fun.